thinking about moving to Miami, but you don't want to live in one of these super high-rise luxury buildings, but you do want to live in a luxury building? I have some options for you today. Hey everyone, my name is Jamey Prezzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami and Miami Beach, and today I'm going to give you some options about super luxury living, but not in a super high-rise building. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another update. I do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in my information box and download our free guide today. Okay, let's get started. So we've really seen a trend where we see a lot of developers developing these smaller buildings, and a lot of our buyers are starting to ask more questions about these types of buildings. Very often when people think about moving to Miami, they always think about these super high-rise luxury buildings. And while we do have a lot of those, there are also some smaller low-rise buildings that are also interesting for some people who are not super interested in living high in the sky. So I want to give you some information about some buildings that you may want to think about, and also some areas where we have a high concentration of those types of buildings. This first property is a building named Louvre House. It's located at 311 Meridian Avenue in Miami Beach. It's in the south of 5th neighborhood of Miami Beach. There are 12 units in this building. It was built in 2017. There are currently no properties listed for sale in this building. However, the last property that sold within the last 180 days. It was a 3.5. It sold for $2.6 million, and it was around 1,900 square feet. The next building is named Maria. It's located at 801 South Point Drive. It's also located in the south of 5th neighborhood in Miami Beach. There are 30 units in this building. It was built in 2015. There were sales in this building over the last 180 days from $6.8 million for a 4.4 down to $1.67 million for a 2.2. There are currently 4 properties on the market today, starting from 1.95 for a 2.2 up to 2.55 for a 2.2. There are 4 2-bedroom units listed in this building right now. The next building is also in south of 5th, and the name is Glass. It's located at 120 Ocean Drive. There are 10 units in this building. It was also built in 2015. Over the last 180 days on the MLS, there was 1 sale. It was a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 3,300 square foot property. It sold for $7.45 million. And on the market today, there are 2 listings. There are 2 2-bedroom units listed, starting from $4.6 million up to $4.75 million. So what's really great about these types of buildings is the buildings tend to be a little bit smaller. There's typically 30 or less units. They are not super high-rise buildings. There's less traffic throughout the buildings because there are fewer people who live in the buildings. Typically, you get a little bit more privacy in these buildings just because there's not a lot of people coming and going. A lot of these units are used as second or third homes, and so there's not a full capacity of the building all the time. In thinking about designing these buildings, the developers really have to offer something unique and special to these buyers because they are not offering sort of the high-rise living and the views of that, so there's something to be said for that. And they are also not offering these like super luxury full service buildings with a tons of amenities because these are smaller kept buildings. And you know, a lot of our clients like these types of buildings. Typically you can get a little bit more functionality out of these units. The space can be that of a single family home in terms of size. The layouts tend to be very functional because they're not trying to pack in a ton of units into one stack. And overall, the design can be very nice and very functional. We find very often in these types of units that the designers really spend a lot of time on detail. Also, people really like this style of living because it's just a little bit more simple in terms of getting into the building and leaving the building and just sort of the day-to-day coming and going inside that building. They also feel a little bit more private, a little bit more exclusive because there's not so many people in and out of the buildings all the time. Typically the maintenance is a little bit less, mainly because you don't have to have a huge staff to run the building, and also because there are fewer people just using the building throughout the year. Typically the maintenance is a little bit lower because there's not so much wear and tear on the building. One other big thing about these types of units is people really like the privacy part of these buildings because they are smaller, so there will be fewer people at the pool, fewer people using the gym, the spa, and the other amenities of the building. You can find a lot of these buildings in the south of 5th neighborhood of Miami Beach. South of 5th is a neighborhood that is from 5th Street to 1st Street, and from the ocean to the bay, it's like a little triangle in the tip edge of Miami Beach. You can also find these types of properties in Coconut Grove and some in Coral Gables. There's a lot to be said for these types of buildings, and a lot of our clients are asking us for these smaller boutique luxury style buildings today. People really like these type of units, and we really do have a lot of opportunities for these types of properties throughout the city. Just know that because there are fewer units inside the building, there are typically fewer units available for sale at a time. So if you're really focusing on one specific building, you may have to wait for a very specific unit to come on the market. It might require a little bit more digging to find something special. And there's just a lot to know about these smaller boutique buildings. They are wonderful opportunities in terms of design and functionality, and we find that our clients really enjoy this lifestyle. If you have more questions about buying real estate in Miami or Miami Beach, we're always here to be a resource for you, and we will see you soon.